Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm sharing with you all my April beauty favorites, and I don't have a ton of new favorites to share with you guys today, and I kind of just narrowed this down to like my new favorite products. I know a lot of times I share with you guys like reoccurring favorites. I don't have too many of those in this favorites video this time. I just wanted to make this one a little bit more short and sweet. Plus I had new favorites. So yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and jump into this. And I know I mentioned this in my March beauty favorites, but I'm getting so excited because in 2 days Josh and I leave to head out to LA for my cousin's wedding. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I wanted to go ahead and film this video before we left so I could have it edited and ready to go for next week, which it'll finally be May. It's just so crazy that May's gonna be here and summer is gonna be here before we know it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and jump in. So I'm not really gonna mention any skincare favorites. I've still been enjoying my same skincare products. And I know that this foundation here is a reoccurring favorite, but it's been a minute since I have talked about this and I've rediscovered, I guess, like fallen back in love with it again. This is the Revlon Color Stay Makeup, the combination oily skin. And I've been trying to figure out like what makeup I want to take with me on this trip. And this my Revlon Color Stay is one of my go-to makeups when I want something that's gonna last all day long and also just make your skin look really perfected and cover any blemishes or redness you might have. Like, this is my favorite full coverage long wearing foundation. And then a new favorite foundation, which this should not come as any surprise if you've been watching my videos, but the Flower Beauty Light Illusion. This I've just fallen in love with. This is such a beautiful, luminous, but at the same time, long wearing foundation. Now the coverage on this is more of a light to medium coverage. It's not a full coverage foundation. And I think it just looks beautiful on the skin. The only thing that I would change about this is the shade. I wish it was a little bit more neutral. I can make it work for me, but that is one thing, and I know I've mentioned it on my channel. I wish that she had a better shade range with this foundation. Maybelline Super Stay Better Skin. This is like my holy grail concealer out of all my concealers that I owned, high-end drugstore. If I want something that's going to cover my under eye circles, like if I have dark under eye circles, I feel like it does a good job of concealing them, brightening, and lasting all day, not settling into creases. Like, it doesn't make my under eyes look old, or it doesn't emphasize fine lines. So this is my go-to. This is what I'm going to be taking with me on my trip to LA, which I'm going to film another video on like what's in my travel makeup bag. So there's going to be some other stuff besides the things that I'm mentioning in this favorites video, but I just love this. And the finish on this concealer isn't matte. It's kind of a semi-matte finish. And I mean, I guess for some it might not be like completely full coverage, but for me it's a good medium coverage concealer. And then a new favorite concealer, the Flower Beauty Light Illusion. This is just a beautiful, luminous, like just, dewy concealer. The only thing with this is you don't want to apply too much or it can settle in fine lines, and you definitely need to set it with a setting powder, like an under eye setting powder. But I do really like this. I think it's a really pretty concealer. Once again, she needs like a better shade range with the concealer because this is the lightest and it's still not an extremely like light concealer. So I know some people that are super fair, this isn't quite light enough, but it works for me and I do like it. Okay, and then moving on to setting products. So actually both of my setting products that I have fallen in love with are new products. The Flower Beauty Miracle Glow Satin Finishing Powder. This is such a beautiful powder when you want your foundation to have like kind of a satin, like luminous finish to it. It's just like an illuminating setting powder. Now the packaging on this is kind of bulky, so that's kind of one downfall, but I do feel that it's pretty. I like the packaging. Like, the design of it. I think it's pretty, but it just is a little bulky for what it is. But this powder, like whenever you blend it out, it just gives your skin like a diffused kind of glow. So I do really enjoy this powder for that. So I've been looking for a really good drugstore kind of alternative to the Charlotte Tilbury, is it Miracle Finishing Powder? It's like her illuminating setting powder. So I've been looking for a drugstore alternative, and I feel like this might be a pretty good dupe to that. I've used that powder one other time, the Charlotte Tilbury powder. One of makeup, when she came over, my friend April, and we filmed a video together, I used her powder, the Charlotte Tilbury one, and I did like it. And I do feel like this might be kind of a good drugstore alternative to that powder. And then for an under eye setting powder, I have fallen in love with this. I like this so much better than my e.l.f. under eye setting powder, which I'm sad to say that, because I mean, I've loved the e.l.f. powder for so long, but I feel like my under eyes are not as young as they used to be. They're starting to get a little bit more aged. I'm getting more like fine lines, and I have a tendency to kind of like, my under eyes have a tendency to get a little bit more dry. So I need a super finely milled powder that's not gonna look dry or cakey, that's not gonna emphasize fine lines. And this Becca powder does that for me. Like, it doesn't emphasize anything. It just looks, when I use this, it just smooths out the under eye area. This is the Becca Under Eye Brightening Setting Powder, and I did get this in a set from Becca. They did send this to me for free to review, but I have fallen in love with this. I don't know if this is a new product or maybe a newer product. Highly recommend that if you've been having a hard time finding a setting powder for your under eye concealer, you know, making it look nice and, you know, keeping your concealer from creasing. And then another product that came along with this powder is the Becca Anti-Fatigue Under Eye Primer. And this stuff is awesome. If you have issues with your under eyes, you know, being a little bit dry or fine lines, this just helps to fill that in and to just smooth that area. It's just a primer for your under eyes, and it also like hydrates that area. So I've been loving this. Like, this in combination with the setting powder just looks awesome. So I'll apply a little bit of this on my under eyes, use my concealer, and then set my concealer with this powder. So highly recommend those. And then a few new products that my friend April, Wanna Makeup, gifted to me that I have been absolutely loving. The Makeup Revolution Fortune Favors the Brave eyeshadow palette. Like, I was so surprised at how much I love this palette, but it is such a versatile palette. And at first I didn't know if I was gonna like this because the shadows, they're not very big. They're like smaller, but honestly I like that about this palette because I think there's 24 eyeshadows in here, and the palette is relatively like small. It's not real big. It's like the same size as the e.l.f. eyeshadow palettes, and you get such a good variety of colors in here. It's like, even though it does have some colors like the blue and the greens and kind of like the burgundy shades, like they're more muted, so they're more wearable. I don't know, I've just been getting so much use out of this, and I love the fact that it comes with like a really large mirror, which is great for traveling. So thank you so much, April, for gifting this to me because I have been in love with it. I just think it's an amazing palette, and I'm not for sure how much this is, but I'm sure it's not over $15. I could be wrong, it could be $20, but still, that is super affordable. So love that. It's really affordable for that amount of shades. I feel like if I was to design an eyeshadow palette, I would make it something like this with the size of the eyeshadow so I could fit, you know, a ton of different shades in there. So love that. And then another product that she gave me that I have been in love with is this Catrice Cosmetics Prime and Fine Eyeshadow Base. And this is so moisturizing on my eyelids, but at the same time it locks my eyeshadow on and keeps my eyeshadow on all day. I don't have issues with creasing because, you know, my skin is more dry, normal to dry. So I need something that's going to be a little bit more hydrating, and I need something that's just going to keep my eyeshadows lasting, not really keep them from creasing, since I don't have that issue. I don't have an issue with oily lids. But this stuff is so good. I don't think Catrice makes this anymore, so I probably shouldn't have mentioned that, but I have been loving it. So thank you, April, for gifting that to me. And then a few other flower beauty products that I just love so much since I filmed that One Brand Flower Beauty makeup tutorial. And these products I just realized I had lipstick on my teeth. Hopefully that hasn't been on there too long. But these are products that I would recommend if you don't know what to get from Flower Beauty and you're looking to try some of their stuff out. Definitely the foundation and concealer and that luminous setting powder I would recommend. But some other things that I have been loving and would recommend is this highlighting palette. This is their Shimmer and Strobe highlighting palette, and this is in the shade SP1, and it has 3 different highlights, and these highlights are just so pretty, super intense, just really like blinding highlights. My favorite one is that first kind of nude shade, and I really like the gold as well. So that's what they look like there. The pink is almost a little too pink for me to use, but definitely the gold and like the nude colored one I absolutely love. Like I'm wearing the nude one today mixed with another highlight that's a favorite, but I definitely think this highlighting palette is something worth trying out. And the way that she has formulated the highlight, like it doesn't emphasize like texture on your skin. They kind of remind me of like Becca highlights, like the way that Becca, it's not necessarily duochrome, but it has like that shift to it where when you're looking straight on, you don't really notice the highlight and it doesn't look ashy or anything. But then when you turn, you can just see the highlight. So really have been enjoying that. The only thing that I would change about this packaging is I would have gotten rid of this, like where she has the brush, so that this would have been a little bit smaller and more compact for traveling. The Flower Beauty Lash Warrior Mascara. I have fallen in love with this. Like this is becoming like my holy grail mascara. It's very similar to my Maybelline Lash Sensational, but honestly, I feel like this is more separating and it's less, not that the Lash Sensational is clumpy, but I find that this, like, I don't know, I just really like how this separates my lashes, but at the same time gives them volume. I don't have issues with it flaking or smudging, and I love the packaging on it. There's just so many things that I enjoy about this mascara. So, and this is what the brush looks like. For me, it's kind of a combination of the Maybelline Lash Sensational and the CoverGirl Lash Blast. So, absolutely love this mascara. And then their the flower pots, the powder blush and Sweet Pea. This is such a pretty, like, neutral, or I guess more of a cool toned mauve. Like, it's just such a pretty color, and it's one of those blush colors that you could wear with like any makeup look and it's not going to take away from the look. It just looks really pretty, and it's a it's a matte blush. So I'm definitely curious to try out some of her other colors in these flower pots because I love this one so much. I love the packaging on it. It's very sleek. And this would be great for travel because it's so small. And then of course, I've still been loving my Wet n Wild Rosé Champagne blush. I know this is basically in almost every single favorites video, but I just love this. It's just like the Flower Beauty blush. It's one of those blush colors that just goes with anything. And it's even more neutral than the Flower Beauty. So there's Rosé Champagne, and it does have a slight sheen to it. A few other Flower Beauty things. The their Seal the Deal Hydrating Setting Spray. This is the dewy finish. I have been loving this. Like, it does give your foundations like a nice luminous finish, and the spray on this is so good. It has such a fine mist to it, and it just looks beautiful on the skin. It keeps your makeup lasting. I'm just gonna spray a little bit of it on. And because the mist is so fine, like it almost like dries instantly, and it smells really nice. Like, it has a light floral scent to it. So been enjoying that. And also their lipstick. This is one of their cream lipsticks in Spiced Petal. And this is the lipstick color that I'm wearing today. And it's just a good everyday, more of like a warm rose kind of color. And it just looks really nice. I have it paired with my NYX Matte Suede Lip Liner in Sandstorm. Okay, two other lipsticks that I discovered this month and have been loving so much. These Morphe lipsticks, and this is their cream formula. I picked up Forever and Shady. And I just really like the formula because it is very creamy and hydrating on the lips, but at the same time, it lasts for a long time. But I've been loving the colors in Forever and Shady. So that's Forever, and this one is Shady. And Shady is like a brown taupe. Like, it looks kind of gross swatch. Like, it looks like a poop brown color. But whenever you get it on your lips, it looks really nice. Like, it almost has like a, I don't know, I really like the way it looks. I'll link some tutorials down below of where I've used that lipstick so you can see what it looks like on. And then just so you can see what Spiced Petal looks like from Flower Beauty, that's what that looks like there, swatched next to the other colors. It's kind of similar to Forever, but Forever is maybe slightly a little bit more cool toned and maybe a little bit more neutral, where the Flower Beauty is more of a rose color. Okay, and then these last two favorites, I don't feel will come as any surprise because I feel like I've mentioned them a lot in my tutorials and things, but the Milani Silky Matte Bronzer in Sunkissed. This is becoming like my all-time favorite matte bronzer from the drugstore, or even with my high-end bronzers. Now, I don't really have a whole lot of high-end bronzers. I think really the only one that I have is my NARS Laguna and then like my Kat Von D Shade and Light palette. But the formula on this is just so nice. Like, it really is so silky, and it's really nice to blend out. Like, it never gets patchy. I really like the tone of this bronzer because it's not too warm toned and it's not too cool toned. It's a good in between. So if you've been looking for a new matte bronzer to try out, I highly recommend this. So beautiful. The last product is my Laura Mercier Matte Radiance Baked Powder in Highlight 01. I have fallen back in love with this highlight. It is just such a beautiful, it's a highlight that you can apply a little bit of and it looks more natural, or you can build it up and it looks more intense. I don't know. It's just like every time I wear this, I just love my highlight. Like, it just looks so pretty. It lasts all day long, and I don't know, it just goes with any makeup look. If you're looking for a cheaper alternative, the Essence Pure Nude highlighter, this is a good dupe to it. The Essence one is just a little like darker. It's not quite as light as the Laura Mercier. Like, as you can see, that's the Essence one down here. And it's not quite as intense as the Laura Mercier. I think that might just be because it's a little darker. So I usually use this, I don't know, I go in my phases, like where I'll really be loving this, and then, you know, then I'll really be loving this one. So if you are looking for a good alternative, this is a good one. All right, guys, so I hope that you all enjoyed this favorites video. You will have to let me know down in the comments what products you have been loving, and if there's anything that I need to pick up and test out for you guys. So I hope that you guys have a great month of May, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.